What's going on, guys? Welcome to today's video. Now I know what you're thinking, where's the guy with the Scottish accent? Well, he is not here right now, but you are going to deal with me. My name is Colin DeWaay, and while I'm not Scottish, my last name is Dutch, but no wooden shoes here. I am from the US, originally from Minnesota. I just moved down to Florida with my family this April actually, and kind of starting a new career down here and got sick of the cold back in Minnesota, so I made a move. Anyway, that's who I am. Now when Mark reached out to me, I was obviously delighted, but then I had to figure out what kind of video I was going to do, and I decided, instead of kind of boring you about all the different details about myself when you probably don't even know who I am, I did instead do a video about squats and kind of some tips that can hopefully help you along. Now, it's not going to be a whole tutorial over squats. I just want to give you a couple tips that aren't very often talked about that can hopefully help you out. Some minor tweaks that can make massive difference in the amount of weight that you can move, and these are topics, like I said, that aren't quite often talked about, so hopefully this can help you out. Now before I get into it, you will notice that I am a part of Team High Bar. I know it's a rare breed and it's almost shameful to be a high bar squatter these days, but I do high bar, and I do this for a couple reasons. I want to get this out of the way because people always ask why I don't do low bar. I do high bar because, one, I have a lot of elbow problems. I've had elbow problems for years, and low bar puts a lot of strain on my elbows, so I kind of gravitate away from it for that reason. And for two, I have an exceptionally long torso and very short legs, so actually high bar is not super crazy for me, although I probably could move more weight with low bar even despite that. But I'm actually contemplating making a switch here pretty soon. My elbow's been holding up pretty well now for several months, so I'm thinking about trying to make that switch, but for now, I'm a high bar squatter, and that's why. Now the first tip I want to talk about that isn't often covered is the walkout. A lot of people have really sloppy walkouts, and this can take a lot of weight off of your lift, and if you don't have any purpose behind it and if you don't have any good stability, you're really setting yourself up for a potentially worse lift than if you actually had a little more purpose behind your walkout. You have to understand that anything you do with a loaded barbell is going to make it oscillate, and that's going to make it fight against the center of gravity, and it's going to make you less stable between the bar and your body. So you really want to make sure that the bar is not oscillating. If it's getting away from the center of your gravity, it's going to make the lift more difficult, it's going to make the weight feel heavier, and you're just not setting yourself up for a really good lift. Any movement that you make will fight against the barbell and make it more difficult. So how should you go about the walkout? I prefer the 3-point stance, where you just take the bar, you unrack it, and you take one small step back with either foot, doesn't matter which one, and then you're going to take a slightly farther step backwards and to the side with your other foot. This is going to determine the starting position of your actual squat. From there, you're going to move the original foot back in line with that foot and just kind of wiggle your toes around to get into a good position, whichever position that you like to be in for your squat, and that's when you're going to squat. You do this slowly and you do this controlled, and it's going to give you a better base. There's not going to be a lot of movement. You're not going to be fighting against the barbell. There's not going to be energy lost doing this, and you're going to set yourself up for a good lift. Now another tip that goes often undiscussed, and that is proper bracing. Bracing can really help a lot in terms of not only adding weight to the lift, but also protecting your body and making sure that you don't get hurt. So what are you going to do to properly brace? You want to get as much air in as possible. You want to take as deep of a breath as you possibly can and bring all that air into your belly. It should pretty much blow up your belly like a balloon. You don't want it up here in your chest, you want it down here in your belly. And if you see your shoulders kind of moving up and down while you do the deep breath, you're probably not bringing it into the proper spot. Now once you get the air into your belly, before you go into your descent, make sure you put the tongue on the roof of your mouth and as back as far as you possibly can in your mouth. This will close your glottis and help you keep the air. I used to try to do this, and I wouldn't put the tongue on the roof of my mouth, and I would go into my descent and I would always lose all my air by the time I got down there because I couldn't hold it in. That will help prevent that from happening. Now that you're ready to go through the movement, you're going to go through the whole range of motion with the air in your belly. Do not let it out at the bottom or on the way up. Hold on to the air. I am thankfully lucky enough to go to the same gym as Lane Norton, and he actually saw me squatting and thought things looked good, but said, hold on to your breath. And I'm telling you, when I made this little switch and I held on to my breath all the way throughout the movement, it was like an extra 20 pounds on my max instantly, just like that, because it felt so much better and so much more stable. So remember, doing this will properly brace your abdominal wall, and not only that, but it will also help protect your lower back. So you're protecting yourself throughout the lift and you're giving yourself a better chance of lifting more weight. So do not take this thing lightly. It can make a huge difference in your lift for safety and for practical purposes. Okay, the third and last topic I want to bring up is the psych up. This is something for some people, not everyone, can really make a huge difference in your lift. And I'm not talking about needing to bang your head up against a barbell, like I don't know who would do something like that. Ah! Come on! But just getting in the right frame of mind to lift a heavy amount of weight can make a huge difference. I know Mark always talks about giving himself about 10% advantage from a good psych up, and I'd say that's probably about the same for me. I haven't really kind of done any math like that or anything, but I've noticed a lot of the times if I don't do a proper psych up for a difficult weight, it makes it a lot more difficult. And I actually had a session not that long ago where I was doing heavy singles at I believe 455 pounds, and it was kind of a struggle. I was doing the singles and they were slow and they were kind of grindy and they weren't that good, but I had to finish it up with an AMRAP set at the end. So coming to the AMRAP, I had to kind of get myself in a different state of mind, and I got myself nice and psyched up. I got my favorite psych up music blasting, and I really kind of started to yell a little bit in the gym and get a little bit crazy, but I was doing everything I had to do to get psyched up to just attack that weight and just really go after it with a purpose. Right now, come on! You want this or not? Let's go! 3 times! 3! And I ended up tripling it after I could barely even do singles, so it can definitely make a big difference, but it's different for everybody. Some people, they can get too psyched up and then they kind of lose control and their technique goes down the toilet and it's just not a good thing. Other people, they can do it just fine. For me, I can't psych up on every single lift. If I do that, I get too drained. So I have to kind of save my psych ups for really important lifts, really difficult ones where I know I'm going to need a little bit extra edge. Other people, like Lane I was talking about, he psychs himself up for every single lift, and he does great with it. So you gotta figure out what works for you, but it's another tool in the tool belt that can help you lift more weight if you utilize it properly. Okay, that's all I have for this video. If you would like more advice on the squat, if you'd like to see more videos about how to kind of go through the motion of the squat, some technique advice, some mobility drills and things like that to start squatting lower if you are not currently able to get past parallel. I've got videos like that. If you don't know how to warm up for squats properly, things like that, head over to my channel, click on the playlist squat series, and those videos are in there and it can hopefully help you out quite a bit. So if you liked the video, I'd really much appreciate it if you could head on over and give me a subscription. I would really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Mark, for the opportunity to do this video. I really appreciate it a lot, and I will see you guys later.